Countdown. Good evening, everyone. Off the Ropes, episode 17. We're going to review AEW All Out and WWE Payback. It's your boy Brett Swinney here. Alongside of me is KO Kyle Owens and Brandon Ogden. How's it going, guys?
Good. Where's Bryan Danielson at?
I don't know. He's supposed to show up tonight. He didn't return my calls. I don't know what happened there.
Sorry, sucker.
Brett's got that Tony Khan money.
Yeah, I know.
Let's say we pay for the rights for that, or
and not the rights to that music, No, I had to pick that one tonight because we all knew the match would get changed at the last minute, and but to pay for that song again, I guess you'd have to pay for a certain contract that we'll talk about as our off-topic topic. We're going to only have one tonight. I don't think there's anything else that people want to hear about, but CM Punk no longer an employee of AEW, guys. I kind of thought that this could happen, but I guess we didn't know everything that happened originally. So I know Kyle's itching to talk about it. Kyle, give us your thoughts.
So, yes, we knew about the All-In incident where, with him and Jack Perry. I didn't know about him also going after Tony Khan. Lunging is the words they were used. It almost, if you go back to All Out last year, when all this started, CM Punk, the Elite, they had their physical altercation. Whatever happened. Boom, we move on. CM Punk's injured, so then he comes back. It's almost like, and I heard this theory the other day on a podcast I was listening to, and it really rings true if you kind of think about it. It's almost like CM Punk was trying to get fired when he came back. Like, it almost seems like he was just done with AEW, wanted to get fired and try to keep as much money as he can. Because if you got all this crap that's going on, you had to get your own show because you can't play nice with other people, or vice versa, whatever. Y'all can't play nice together. You can't make money together. So y'all have to separate shows. And then you come out and still start shooting on Hangman, who has done nothing. I mean, after his first thing he did, he has done nothing. And so to shoot on Hangman after Collision, and then my whole thing, this could have all been avoided. All could have been avoided. You're on your last straw. You've already had one incident. You can't afford another incident. So why, if Jack Perry wants to go out there and use real glass, who are you to tell him no? Like, who are you to tell him if you can give him advice? Hey, I don't think that's a good idea. Jack Perry says, well, I'm going to do it anyway. Cool. Not on me. Not my problem.
It's not him going through the glass, right?
Right. Exactly. And it's in my point of view, the only other person that needed to agree to it was Hook. That's who was in the match. That's the only other person that needed to be involved. And management, of course. But CM Punk, last I checked, is not management unless there's a hidden contract somewhere. So this all could have been avoided. I hate it because I think CM Punk was good for AEW the first time around. After the All Out situation last year, and then when he came back this second time around, the first couple of weeks were all right with Collision, but then you started hearing locker room drama again with CM Punk. So I agree with Tony Khan. I'm glad he did it. I'm glad Tony Khan actually manned up and got rid of CM Punk. I think this year's All Out proved that it was kind of a renewed focus. Like they're changing their direction. They want to put all this stuff behind them. I'm excited to see the future. I hate it because I think we're missing out on some great matches. CM Punk and MJF to unify the titles. You got CM Punk with all these different CM Punk and Kenny Omega. You got all these stories that could be told, but CM Punk can't get out of his own way. Yes, Jack Perry was in the wrong as well, but CM Punk escalated the situation. And as a locker room leader, he claimed to be, you can't do that. And it was a second offense. He's got to go.
Yeah. And you just pulled that out. I was going to say, if this had been Jack Perry's second offense, it probably would have been the same thing. But
right.
It's one of those things like if you get written up and go the opposite at school, and so then you're on thin ice and the guy comes and antagonates you. He hasn't been in trouble. Who's going to get the worst of it if you get into a fight? The guy that's already been in trouble. And that's what happened here. I mean, it as much as it stinks Like you said, there's so much that hasn't been told. It's one of those things. Brandon, what do you got on this?
Kyle covered it perfectly, but I mean, the thing with Punk, it's always something with him too. We said it's the second offense, but it was always something with him, and it always has been. And I don't know if this will be the end of him ever, though. I'm sure we'll see him somewhere again. I don't know when or where. It won't be AEW, but and the thing I'm interested in is, I noticed last night. We'll get into this, but they have so many belts and stuff. Are they going to now are they going to occupy this real world championship, or are they just going to disband it? That's what I'm interested to see, like how they go forward with that. Punk's gone. So are they going to honor this title still? I hope not.
I think it's going to be gone, Brandon. I have a feeling after last
night. I see him doing it, though.
That would be the right idea, Brett, but we don't know.
I would guess the international title is going to slide over to Collision, and that be kind of there. But we'll have to see that. Now, I have a question for you guys. Okay, is there a chance that he mends fences with WWE and they take advantage of this and sign him? I mean,
so and I read a thing earlier today when last year, and because when everything was happening and he was about to be done with AEW, then there was a plan in place for him to be in the 2023 Royal Rumble, and whoever eliminated him, which it was going to be Kevin Owens, was also going to be his opponent at this year's WrestleMania. Well, apparently they didn't make that happen. But I did see Triple H actually addressed it today and said if a CM Punk coming would ultimately be Nick Khan's decision. So it's going to go from Tony Khan to Nick Khan. So we'll see if the long lost cousin.
I mean, honestly, to me, and Kyle may disagree, but it's about business. Like if CM Punk's going to make you more money and sell more tickets and bring more interest and pull some people over from AEW, because honestly, right now AEW's on a roll. I mean, it just showed this pay-per-view without CM Punk, they still had a great show. So, I mean, if you're able to do that and take the chance, if something happens with him, then you can do the same thing as AEW did.
Well, and the thing with WWE is they don't need him for a long run. They could just bring him in, they say, hey, well, I mean, just capitalize for a 3-month span from Royal Rumble to WrestleMania and then say bye-bye. And just, I mean, you make all the money you need just in that span. So,
yeah, do like a Brock contract where you sign him and they only have so many events. He's not around the locker room a whole lot then. Kyle, I know you're itching to say something good.
I think if it was a Vince McMahon decision alone, I think CM Punk comes back in.
See, I think the opposite.
You think it's the opposite?
Yeah.
Well, here's my thing. He's proven to be a headache. He was a headache in WWE. The whole pipe bomb incident. He's burnt bridges everywhere he's gone. I get what y'all are saying about bringing him in, making money. I get it, but you don't need, like, you're making money hand over fist right now. Do you need that pop from CM Punk? Yeah. You don't need that.
But if he's only there for WrestleMania and Royal Rumble, I mean, that's not too much of a headache. Like Brett said, keep him out of the locker room. Get him there for the 2 big events, and then.
Yeah, I mean, I could see him trying it. Me personally, if I was running the company, I wouldn't want anything to do with him, just because he's a cancer. He's a cancer in the locker room.
And I think fans are starting to get over it too.
Yeah. Well, not Chicago fans, but yes, other fans, yes. Real fans are.
And we saw where Survivor Series is this year. We noticed that. I mean, I don't know. I don't see it happening. The only reason I don't is especially not this year, is because there's going to be a legal battle that Punk's going to have to go through. I don't think this is not going to end cleanly with AEW. So there's going to be a legal battle that they're going to have to go through that will probably not wrap up this year. So I don't see Tony Khan, unless Punk negotiated this. I don't see Tony Khan, and I don't know what the rules are with contracts. If you get fired, does that eliminate a non-compete? Or can you still issue a non-compete if you fire somebody? Oh, well, that's interesting because, like, say KLTV fired you, Kyle,
right?
And they're the ones that got rid of you. You could go over to KTK. I don't see why. Now, if you quit on them, then to me that's how it looks to me. Like if you quit one, then they could say, oh no, you can't just go over.
But if they fire you, then it's open game. Yeah.
When WWE had all those big layoffs, the last 2 years ago and stuff, those people still had to wait 90 days. A lot of them still had to wait.
That was them being released, though, right? Not fired.
And I
But
think
they didn't leave on their own.
I think they got paid for that, though. I think they
like a severance package. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Punk may get the same thing, but that's what I'm saying. Is there still a non-compete attached to that?
And I don't know what is I don't know if is AEW's 90 days also. I don't know what theirs is. So.
I don't know.
Because I know when Rush's contract was up, they said if he signed with WWE, he was about to come immediately, but then AEW offered more, and we saw a cool package last night with him. But so I don't know if theirs is 90 days either. But and let's see, Edge actually he doesn't have a 90 days. He could have came because since he's I think it's something either because he's in the Hall of Fame or something, he doesn't have one.
Oh,
he's got special perks. Yeah, special.
Yeah,
perks.
I don't see. Brandon, you hit the nail on the head. I'm over it. I don't care. Like I know the other day, and I don't know if he wants me saying it or not, but in our group message, Jeremy was like, if CM Punk leaves, I'm done with AEW. And I'm like, there is way better talent on AEW than CM Punk, in my opinion. I don't think CM Punk is a needle mover for me personally.
Yeah, I think there it was more just the principle.
Yeah.
But
now we know that he lunged at his boss. Like, I mean, how much rope are we going to give him?
I know, but some of this does fall on Tony Khan. I mean,
absolutely.
From the beginning, there should have been some things in place. And then once you have the Bucks involved, Kenny Omega, okay, so now it turns into let's get CM Punk in trouble. I could see where somebody could have instigated CM Punk to get rid of him. I mean, because, if you've got somebody that's friends with, the Bucks and Omega, and they don't like him and they don't want to play ball. I mean, who knows what happened? I mean, we'll never probably know the full story back there. But I mean, I could see that happening, because there's the locker room was split. And I don't know if you guys noticed it. There was a couple of callbacks from FTR, did some CM Punk things in the ring. So you figure they're probably on their way out. Unfortunately, I think they're CM Punk guys.
I don't think they're on their way out.
Well, I've heard rumors that they were leaving anyway, and now
they just re-upped on a contract, didn't they?
I don't know. I didn't hear that.
I thought they just re-signed.
But I just know that they're pretty good. They're pretty good buddies with CM Punk, and so I don't know.
And they are. But guess what they did? They worked with the Young Bucks. Yeah. It's business. Like that's what separates that CM Punk just is. He's selfish. He was all about himself. He didn't want to. At first, yes, he was putting people over. He put Ricky Starks over. He tried his best to put Ricky Starks over. I think Danielson did a way better job last night of putting Ricky Starks over. But CM Punk had his opportunity and did his best. But then it just kind of, I think he was done with AEW, and he just was trying to find any way. He was trying to find any way for Tony Khan to finally fire him. And there was, because you're right, a lot of this blame falls on Tony. He could have nipped this in the bud last year. He could have squashed all of this. But it's almost like CM Punk had some type of hold over Tony Khan or was in a position of power that we didn't know about backstage. I mean, there has to be something else, because I've never met a boss that lets employees just run wild. I mean, if you start running wild in a business, you're fired immediately. Like, I don't know. It's a messy situation, and it sucks because it's now overshadowing one of the biggest wrestling events of all time at Wembley.
Well, I've got somebody else that may have an opinion on this before we move on to the pay-per-view. Let's bring in the professor.
Oh.
How's it going?
I thought it was your little sidekick there.
Well,
yeah, I thought that's who we had.
Just like KO last week, I just finished All Out and hopped on.
So I'm sorry to be a Debbie Downer, Matt, but we're kind of finishing up our off topic. And our off topic tonight was the firing of CM Punk. Give us your thoughts.
Good riddance.
That's it? The professor is all he's got is good riddance? Wow.
To continue to talk about him gives him the attention that he so desperately needs, and we have better things to talk about on this show.
Okay, so I'll ask the same.
Also a hot start.
One question, and I'll ask you the same thing I asked the other guys. Do you see him going over to WWE and building the, mending fences and going over there?
Never say never, but I doubt it.
Okay.
Now he may show up for a Hall of Fame, something at the end of the day when he's done wrestling. But I think because he thinks he has some juice left, he'll probably do something, but don't think it'll be WWE.
Okay. All right. So let's talk some pay-per-views now. Matt's here. We're ready to go. You got here just in time.
I want to start out. I'm going to give my opening statement as your defense attorney here. That a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago, when Collision came on the air, I think Jeremy and I were discussing wrestling fatigue. I think I've hit wrestling fatigue with this past week. This was just too much.
I'm not even watching Raw tonight. I got a race to watch from yesterday that I haven't finished. I'm going to finish that tonight. I'm not even watching Raw tonight. I'm wrestled out.
So I think before we start going to the individual matches, the bar for these pay-per-views, and we talked about this last week, I think we all kind of had set a pretty low bar. I honestly thought both exceeded what my expectations were, in all honesty, both pay-per-views in general. Now, I didn't say they were all 5-star matches and all that, but I think that overall the matches exceeded what I was expecting after having a great all-in the weekend before. So,
but I think they were reversed. I think the one Saturday night Payback, I think started pretty hot. I think the start of that one was pretty, the first few matches, and then after the tag match, it went down. And I mean, Seth and Shinsuke wasn't awful, but it wasn't like, it wasn't main event quality. It was Seth and Shinsuke what you expected, but then last night I thought started slow, even with Better Than You, Baby. I thought it started slow and then it ended strong. And with those final three, it kind of brought everything back up. I just thought it was reversed, where one started, neither one was the same. So,
okay, I just want to let you guys know that I'm gonna have to get this out tonight. Okay, guys, I'm gonna have to bring over the belt because this weekend was a great time for the Pick'em Champ.
I know I did terrible.
I picked 9 of 10 football games in our Pick'em challenge. It was one away from the top. And I only missed one match on 2 cards of wrestling. So my percentage is feeling pretty good. I don't know about you guys, but I'm sorry I had to do that to you guys this weekend.
I think I only missed one on the actual all-out card, so I'm happy about that one.
I did terrible. I know.
I'm not counting 0 Hour because I didn't watch 0 Hour. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I almost sent you my battle royal pick because once I saw who was in it, I knew who was going to win.
Well, yeah, I think we all would have probably, if we knew the participants, we could have guessed that one. Which one you want to start with? You want to start with AEW or WWE? Which one?
Let's do it in order, and then that way we can finish strong.
Okay, all right.
Just like the pay-per-views.
Yeah.
So in this WWE Payback pay-per-view, again, I picked all 6 matches correctly. You were very close, Matt, but you should have listened to me when I told y'all about Judgment Day. Okay, I tried to tell you guys, but where they were going with it, and hey, I got it right. What do you know? We'll start with my favorite match of the night. Honestly, I know Kyle's ready for the feud to end, but the Becky Lynch Trish Stratus, man, that was incredible. Man, they were doing some crazy stuff off the cage.
And we were joking about, Kyle's like, okay, bathroom break. I won't start till 7:30, and so all of our expectations for this match were really low, and it was just better. Like it better than I don't know about what Cole said match of the year. I don't buy that, but it was way better than expected. Like it was it was a good, because I was like, why is this match first? And it actually, it was good, and I wasn't expecting that at all, and but I don't even know if Kyle got to watch it, so we'll see.
I watched it, and I was very pleasantly surprised. I thought it was a great match. I enjoyed it. No, not match of the year. No way. But it was a very, very good match. I think, honestly, out of their whole feud, this was the best match they've had together. And that's how it should be. The final match should be the best match. So I hope they're done.
Well, and the way it ended, I think Trish is going a different direction now.
Right. And my favorite spot, though, that superplex from the top of the cage, Trish took that like a champ. That
the manhandle slam to win it too, man.
She took some bumps. She took a lot of bumps. I don't think we talked about this, Brett. I know you were kind of joking about it last week when you said it's a steel cage match. Zoe Stark can't get involved in it. Steel cage never keeps anybody out. It was a creative way to get her involved, though. I will admit that it wasn't your typical, way that the ref had to open the door for Trish. So it kind of was creative there, but I could have done without that. They make sense at the end when Zoe turned on Trish. So I think, Trish and Zoe are kind of headed in their own direction. And that welt on Trish's forehead was nasty. But overall, great match. Hot open. Loved it. Best match that these two have had. But I still stand by this feud needs to be done with.
You got Father of the Year Brett over there getting his kid in the pick with the Pick'em champion. Since Christian is speaking of Father of the Year talk, and Brett is our current champion, I'll give a little shout out. We got Pick'em champion and Father of the Year all in our my top left corner over there. So
he's just ready to watch Raw with me, man.
He's excited about
he's
that.
Ready for LA Night. Yeah.
I agree with you too. It was a great match. I enjoyed it. It's like you go to Whataburger and all of a sudden they're like testing a Wagyu burger and you're like, you weren't expecting it. You're just going in expecting your double Whataburger with cheese, and all of a sudden you get, a 4-star burger. And I'd call that a 4-star match, by the way. I was scared for Trish at the point. I sure hope that when she was hanging off the cage by a leg, they had somebody down there, because the way they were shooting it made me think that maybe they do have somebody over there, because they're kind of shooting up at the, just in case she did fall or have an accident, because she was doing some crazy stuff. So I, on behalf of our show, Off the Ropes, would like to say thank you, Trish.
Thank you, Trish.
That great match to potentially, if that is the punctuation of your sentence, that's a hell of an exclamation point.
Unfortunately, it looks like she's rolling over to another feud there, Matt. So we'll see.
Maybe she can do it one more time, because that was a good. Because you put people out there who have that second tier wrestler who's just coming back, and usually they don't put on those kind of matches. And she took the bump. She did the work. I was just incredibly impressed.
So we all had that one, Becky Lynch. Now, question before we move on to the next match: where does Becky Lynch go from here?
Great question. No idea.
So
I guess maybe we'll find something out tonight. Maybe
she's going to become the NXT champion, since they're
Tiffany Stratton. Yeah.
They did tease that she had never won the NXT championship, so maybe she shows up on NXT.
And Stratton's been popping up a lot lately.
NXT,
what's the point?
Dominic Mysterio and Trish Stratus.
What's the point in having main roster talent as your NXT champions? That makes absolutely no sense.
And I don't think any of y'all watch NXT. No. NXT lately has been really good. Like, it has been, and I've seen other people say this too. And I thought it was just me. I've been enjoying it, and it's been. I mean, it's not black and gold days, but since the current format, it's the best it's been. I mean, this probably 2-month run they've been on has been pretty good, and it's it's one of the I actually make sure to watch it I never watch it live, but I used to watch would wait 2 weeks to watch it NXT. Now I make sure to watch it in the next day. So
I'm not coming back over there yet. I'm gonna give it more time.
If Becky gets a title match, though, it may bring you over. You get Becky and Dirty Dom on the same.
Great.
The next match was LA Knight.
Yeah.
Beating The Miz. Not surprised here. We all had LA Knight. Let me talk to you, Bubba. That's right.
Yeah.
Raise him right. LA Knight with the win. Of course, we talked about how Miz is kind of the gatekeeper. He kind of it'd be interesting. I think it's got to be LA Knight's time for a title shot now, right? I mean, at some point you've got to. I mean, he's hot. He needs something.
Yeah, and I mean, what much this match? I thought Cena was super cheesy as an official. I mean, and special guest referees normally are, but like Cena was just, I don't think that was needed, but LA Knight won. We knew what was going to happen this match, and we can move on.
Well,
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that something, I don't know if you guys caught it, but they showed Cena raising LA Knight's hand, kind of an ode to like Cena, The Rock raised Cena's hand. They kind of had something on Twitter about it, which I thought that was kind of cool. Maybe as like LA Knight's the next, big star for WWE.
Cena's rumored to be in WWE for the next few months, so I could see them having a match with LA Knight. But I was really excited for this match going into it. Their promo battles really got me excited for it. Cena was unnecessary in this match. I could have done without Cena. I love John Cena, but him in this match was it was unnecessary. The match was decent, but it didn't live up to what I expected it to be between the two. I just kind of expected more. It just kind of seemed to me like it never got out of that first gear and got into the next one. But it was a decent match. And yeah, like you said, Brandon, we all knew who was going to win. So I'm just happy they actually pulled the trigger with LA Knight winning and didn't try to throw a curveball and keep this going. Hopefully this feud is kind of over with as well.
I'm going to give a little bit of maybe an unpopular opinion, and maybe I'll be alone on my limb out here. But I think there were a couple of times in the promo battles that Miz made LA Knight look bad, like that he was.
You're right.
He was better at it.
Yeah.
And I just had this vibe. I knew LA Knight was going to win, but it was almost like LA Knight didn't really, in that moment, deserve to be even on the Miz's level. And maybe that's bad booking on WWE because they've kept Miz down as almost a jobber for so long. But I was a little sad in watching, Miz kind of run around LA Knight, and even knowing LA Knight was still going to win. But Miz made him look bad. So I'm glad I'm not alone, Kyle.
Well, now I didn't say he looked bad. Let's say
that. He fumbled quite a bit.
I do agree. Miz had a good shot on Cena or a couple good shots on Cena at the pay-per-view. So Miz is fantastic on the mic. He's one of the best. So, but yes, you're right. Miz got on top of LA Knight a couple of times in those promo battles, but as far as the match goes, I think it was just kind of there. I just expected more out of it.
I didn't watch Impact to know what. I guess he was champion over there for a little while, so I haven't seen his best match yet, or what would be considered his best match. But I haven't been impressed with his in-ring work either. So, I guess we'll see. I like his personality, though. I like that kind of hybrid rock style to it. I miss it, and I don't mind it. So we'll see where it goes.
He's got the Riz, as the kids would say.
All right, so next match, Rey Mysterio over Austin Theory. I'm confused on this whole thing. I'm hoping that this is done and over with. Theory gets it back. Kyle, you had Theory to win this. What'd you think about this booking? Are you confused too?
I'm not really confused because it wouldn't have made sense to put it back on Theory after they just took it off of him. But I picked Theory because I just would rather have on Theory than Rey Mysterio. I didn't care about the match going into it. Didn't really care about the match or the outcome on the show. This was my bathroom break match.
I wish Kyle would have done what I tried to do, but this is going to be my discussion of this.
I can't really speak about this match because I didn't go to the bathroom like Kyle, but I fell asleep. I woke up just in time to see. I woke up about maybe a minute before Ray's finisher, so I saw him win it. But that's about it.
I just think that no one cares about the U.S. title right now. Like it's like a.
I think it's the people involved.
It is. Oh, it is. It's the way they booked it. They had it with Theory. He was a joke for however many months he had it. He defended it a few times. When he did win it, he cheated and didn't look like he deserved the title. And then they took it off of him for a Hall of Famer who's won every title already pretty much there is. Why does he need it?
Maybe LA Knight gets it. It is a SmackDown title.
Yeah, that's who needs to have it right now. He needs to have this, or he needs to be in a match with somebody for this title. And that will raise it just by him holding it. But like right now, it's almost a joke. We've we kind of talked about this previously. You got Gunther and Rey Mysterio. Those titles are both mid-card titles. I mean, they're not even on the same level right now because of the way they've booked them.
Yeah, I think it's telling that all four of us were just like, this match was garbage and just move on. We can save time on this one. Let's just move on.
All right, well, this will bring Matt back. The Judgment Day defeats KO and Sami Zayn in the Steel City Street Fight for the undisputed tag titles. I was the only one to pick this one, guys. Sorry. I think what I was saying, and it came to fruition, was they're going to put all the titles on the Judgment Day. And they're just going to have all the titles, and they're going to kind of do it's going to end up turning into the Bloodline again. I have a feeling. Do you feel any deja vu?
I mean, we always said this was the Raw story of the Bloodline, the Raw equivalent, and now since the Bloodline's going, it sounds like they're even elevating it. It looks like they're even elevating it even more because they need something to keep intrigue. Because we always know this is a dead time for WWE with football starting. It's hard to get people interested, and so they got to do something. And so yeah, it looks like, just like you said, a full on Judgment Day. And I also saw something a while ago is. It looks like they're going to rebrand Damien's Money in the Bank briefcase, make it purple, and so it looks like he's going to keep that even longer. And so they'll have that and all those titles, and we'll see where they go now, because who they fight tag team and how the JD McDonough thing falls. Because I mean that's the biggest story right now.
I was going to say, I have a theory, Brendan. Okay, so right now you've got the Usos, or your Damian Priest, the Finn Balor. JD McDonough is your Sami Zayn. He's that outsider guy trying to get into the Judgment Day, trying to get in, and eventually they're going to let him in probably, and then eventually he's going to end up, splitting them up, and that's my theory. That's why I think they're going with it. I think they're going to try to rewrite this Judgment Day story, just like the Bloodline.
I didn't think about that. You're probably not far off.
So you're talking about ripping off a story there, and another thing, when they won, it also seems like a semi rip off of what's going on in AEW with Better Than You, Baby. It's kind of a friction. Two people fighting for the same title now becoming tag, even though they were already together. But there's a little thing there where they're fighting they're trying to both get the main title. Let's make them tag champs, and it's a similar. It's like ripping off two stories.
And either way, I'm very intrigued in this storyline, though. I'm very intrigued.
Yeah, it's definitely
the only thing they got going right now.
Yeah, that's true. I thought it was a great match. I think it was match of the night, in my opinion, on this card. It was a street fight. Glad there was some blood. Glad my Uncle Kevin decided to don the crimson mask on Saturday night. I love the hockey part of it too, with the Lemieux and Crosby jerseys. And Brandon, I saw what you said. I caught it too. Cole called them the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And I'm a Steelers fan, so that got I wanted to jump through the TV.
How is that? That's two different sports. The logos aren't even
Corey's
the same.
From Pittsburgh, so Corey immediately.
Yeah.
Hey, now call no.
But other than that, I mean, the match was fantastic. I thought the ending was great. It was very creative with the knocking Sammy out, and then Finn just kind of rolled over and put his arm on him. I love the ending. And look at Dirty Dom paying off. He earned his keep Saturday night in the Judgment Day.
And a great match, like Kyle said. The two actual spot moments that stood out to me were Kevin Swanton off the barrier onto I think it was on Dom. Yeah, Dom's not even in the match, but in the movie, and then Rhea's spear on the that was great. But yeah, it was just and Rhea's got a match 2 matches later, and she's out there spearing 300-pound Kevin Owens. So that was,
and JD McDonough getting powerbombed off that table looked gross. I thought he broke his back. That looked miserable.
Match of the night for me as well. Maybe match of the weekend. I popped out over that match just ridiculously. I don't like the storyline, not because you got the pick right. I just don't.
Y'all feeling that?
Needing that much. I mean, And also, I feel like it's a slap to Sammy and Kevin, who beat the Usos after that many years to lose to the Judgment Day, and like they kind of look like the Stooges out there, not having an answer for the fact that they're going to have 5 people at Judgment Day. Where's your people? Where's Cody at? Where's your backup? Because they've been playing with Riddle and a couple others, so they could have backups. I didn't like the storyline inconsistencies. I didn't like how easily Sammy lost. I mean, a shot from a briefcase and you lose after everything he went through, all those false finishes and all that stuff. A briefcase shot.
Well, that wore him down, Matt. So then the briefcase shot just took him. That was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Well, I didn't like that camel, and I didn't like that back. But love that match, and I wish I get it's a different world with WWE. I wish they had more of that, because that was fun.
Okay, I mean, I agree too. I think the match was one of the best of the night myself. That one and the cage match are my 2 favorites, honestly. But when I picked them, I was hoping that they would go this route, just because I want to see more. Because if they don't win, if Judgment Day loses, then the Finn Balor, Damian Priest blow up happens sooner. Since it's the only thing going, I'd like them to play this out a little longer and see how they can do. I do think it's going to kind of take the same turn as the Bloodline, but you never know. It could make it a little different. It's just, you don't know. But I do think, since it is the only thing they have going right now, they're going to kind of extend it, especially while the Bloodline thing is kind of taking a hiatus. I don't know what the status of all that is right now. It'll, with, of course, when we hadn't talked about the return, I don't know where that fell on the card, but the return of Jey Uso unexpectedly. Guys, were you expecting him to return this quickly, and then all of a sudden now he's on the Raw roster? That was a little weird.
Yeah, it was a random trade. I did like, Jimmy came back on Friday, and he has new music and stuff, and now Jay seemed to get the Uso music. It changed a little bit, I think, but it still was the down since day one kind of type music. So it's interesting. He's going to Raw, and I don't know. Yeah, we'll see where that goes.
To keep them apart.
And Cody going to SmackDown. So
yeah, just
maybe.
Yeah,
but I also think it's more to get Cody to keep SmackDown warm until Roman gets back, and to set that back up when Roman does return.
But I think it's Cody's in to get back to Roman, because with Cody being on Raw and Roman on SmackDown, there's no way for him to get back unless he wins Royal Rumble again, which I think would be a bad idea. So I think he brought Jay in to get his way back to Roman to get another shot at that title. I don't think it has anything with him wanting to. Maybe the wrong that he's trying to right is his loss at Mania to Roman, and he's trying to right that wrong. But I popped when I heard him say main event Jey Uso. I popped. I was like, okay. It's crazy to see, and it's always been this way. And I kind of feel bad for Jimmy. Jay gets a bigger pop than Jimmy every single time. Like, he's just a more popular character on the show, and seeing the whole crowd doing the little arm movement with Jay, it was awesome. I'm a fan of Jey Uso. I hope he succeeds on Raw. What does he do on Raw? No earthly idea. Couldn't tell you.
I guess we'll see tonight or tomorrow in your case, since you're not going to watch tonight.
It's true.
I'm not watching tonight either. So.
And that's ultimately because I'm worried about Jey Uso by himself on Raw. I mean, how interested are we going to be in a Jey Uso versus Big Bronson Reed match? I mean, that's pretty much what you're going to be getting, because there's really no established heels over there outside of Judgment Day. Is he going to fight Judgment Day by himself? I mean, he can't, unless he goes heel. He's not going to be fighting Sammy or KO. So
Gunther.
Maybe.
Well, we'll see after tonight. I think Gunther's probably next in line for Seth.
Well, but then that would make sense. How are they gonna get the belt off him then? So
tonight, it's the main event tonight.
Yeah, but he still hadn't broke Hockey Talk Man's record, has he?
Yesterday, right?
I thought he was still a couple days short.
I thought it was September 3rd is what I thought.
Oh, I don't know. You're probably
That's why
right.
they moved the match to tonight instead of Saturday.
Oh, okay.
That's what I read. I don't know for sure.
Gable's going to be champ. Thank you.
His whole family's there. I mean, that could mean he's going to lose. But they made it the main event, so we'll see.
Okay, I like it.
Okay. He's done a lot of work with his character. I like the whole thing. They added Maxine in there, and that kind of is given that. And we talked about it a little bit before, but it's kind of injected some life into the Alpha Academy.
Yeah, the only thing with Otis is like the same thing he had with like Mandy, the scruffy big guy with the hot blonde or whatever.
It's true. It's true.
And he's trying to be
I can
Macho
relate
Man.
to that personally, so I can relate to that.
And he's trying to be Macho Man every time. Ooh yeah. Okay, Otis. Let's come on.
All right. Next match: Rhea Ripley defeats Raquel Rodriguez by pinfall. I mean, 17 minutes on this match. I kind of expected the Rhea Ripley win. I was about 95% sure she was going, probably more than that. The match was okay. I mean, I did like the fact that Rhea Ripley can't just overpower her. I'm still confused. Like, what's the deal with the back? Is it just like she has the best back muscles in the world? Like, I'm not seeing it. It's like, I don't know. They haven't. I think Rodriguez could be something very special, but they just haven't built her enough yet to make me believe that she's going to beat Rhea Ripley. So, my only gripe about that. I think the match was fine.
I think the match was about 15 minutes too long.
Completely agree with Brandon.
I'm talking about
it. Fast forwarding through that real quick.
Okay.
That's why he was able to get to the show on time.
That's right.
See, I'm going to differ from all y'all. So a couple things. I don't know if y'all noticed this. I think WWE might be watching our podcast. So hello, WWE, because if you were listening to Graves and Cole before the match, they did a callback to their last match on NXT that I happened to say on the last podcast we were talking about. So thanks for listening, WWE. I thought that match on NXT was one of the better matches I've seen between the two women, and that's when I became fans of both of them. Rhea is super dominant as champ. I'm with you, Brandon. I like the match simply for the fact that Raquel is a believable opponent for Rhea. It's believable that she could beat Rhea because of her size. She's able to match her strength for strength, and nobody else on the roster can do that. So she's really a believable opponent, in my opinion. I don't think she's ready for a championship. I'm not saying she should have won, but I think it's at least believable. And also, Graves slipped up and called her Raquel Gonzalez at one point because that was her name on NXT. So, but again, Dom, the only reason I think we may not be done with this is because Dom interfered and basically cost Raquel the match. I think Rhea would have won regardless. I would have liked to see them beat Rhea beat Raquel more clean. But here's my thing. I'm calling it now. We're getting Rhea and Liv at Fastlane because that's who Rhea took out. Raquel couldn't advocate for Liv, couldn't beat Rhea, so Liv's going to come back and try to do it herself. So there's Rhea's next match at Fastlane. I didn't hate the match. It was very slow. It was methodical, but that's the pace that both those women work. So I didn't hate it. It was probably I liked it more than Mysterio in Theory.
Yeah.
So
I agree. That's kind of where it was sit for me. It was a okay match.
Yeah.
I'm right along the same lines with you, Kyle, though. I think if they build her right, then Raquel Rodriguez could be a championship opponent that I could see her winning. The main reason why I didn't see her winning is because they haven't really showed any reason for me to believe that she's going to beat Rhea Ripley. That's the main thing. She went from a tag team wrestler to all of a sudden now she's mad because she took out my tag team partner.
That's not even a real tag team partner. It's just somebody that you got meshed together with. Although I don't agree with Brandon that it could have been 15 minutes shorter. I think it could have. I think 17 was too long. I think a good 8 to 10 minute match I would have been even better with, but 17 was a little too long out there.
Yeah, it felt long, and for me, and y'all hit on these major points when pretty much everybody knows who's going to win, and everybody knows where this is going. Having a 17-minute match and just having it as a base level match is just a time waste. I would have, get back to NXT and have a last man standing match. Have something that makes this match more important than just a regular wrestling match, and might give Raquel, a chance, because, oh, we're going to do this or that, or, maybe she can tap into a lucky shot, or go do something. I did not like the match. I did not like the storyline. I didn't like the pacing, because you have to make her believable, and they never made her believable. So it's just a way too long match. Brandon, I think, they could have had this match in 5 to 7. I'll give Brandon being a little hard on that 15. He's just exaggerating, but 10 minutes too long for sure. Let him wrestle for 7 minutes, balls to the wall.
Well,
Rhea wins. Ovaries to the wall.
Oh,
yeah. Thank you, Matt.
And the main event for this pay-per-view, Seth freaking Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
Whoa.
Still going. I think they're still doing that. It's probably going on right now, actually.
Probably. It's ridiculous.
So 26 minutes on this match. I thought it was a pretty good match. I mean, they did a good job of telling a story with this one. So it kind of made me intrigued by it, with the whole story with Seth having the injured back. Nakamura knew about it and he's going to key on it. And then they had the whole backstage promos with, showing Seth struggling through his back injuries. It almost sold me the fact that, okay, Shinsuke could win this, because now they have an out. Well, Seth Rollins was injured. He took him out. Maybe he's going to be off TV for a little bit. But in the end, kind of what I expected. Seth Rollins. Brandon, you had Shinsuke. Did you think you had a chance to get this one there at certain points of the match?
I even acknowledged it last week that I probably was going to be wrong. There were a couple of moments. The only reason I said, because of the whole back thing with Seth, and I was like, maybe the back's worse but it's more of a long-term back thing than a short-term. So I mean, it was it would have been a good second match on the card. But it's good, Seth and Shinsuke, but that wasn't a main event match. Like I said, the ending to the show was, with these final 3 matches they had, they would just, I guess final 2, but the final 2 just didn't do it. But there were moments, but Seth's still the champ. We'll see where they go next.
I thought the anime package they did for Shinsuke before his entrance was awesome. I thought that was great. Like you said, Brett, really good storytelling throughout the match. That's what made the match every time. You knew Seth's back was bad, and that we knew that was going to be the target going into the match. I enjoyed the match, but it was more of a main event for Raw type match than a pay-per-view main event. Like if this was the main event on Monday Night Raw, I think we would all agree that's great. But it's not a pay-per-view worthy main event. I'm kind of like, I think like you said, Brandon, the start of the card was up here, and then by the end of it, we were back to TV stuff that could have been left on TV. So it did kind of arc and decline after the tag match, but no surprise here, Seth winning. There was a couple of moments where I thought they might give it to Shinsuke, but I'm glad to see him keep it on Seth. I think he's still got more story to tell, and I'm excited to see what he does with it. Who's next for Seth? No idea. Couldn't tell you. We'll find out tonight, I guess, or tomorrow.
Whenever we watch it. The thunder, the black clouds coming back, the thunderstorm kicking in, because the last few Seth matches I just haven't enjoyed. I haven't gotten into it. It's just it's good wrestling, but I mean it's kind of boring at times. It's kind of slow and methodical, and there's no storyline. I mean, it's just
there's a storyline in this one.
But he lost to Bronson Reed a month and a half ago. There's no legitimate chance that Shinsuke is going to win in any sort of way that makes sense.
Big Bronson Reed, not
Big Bronson Reed, not just any Bronson Reed. This is Big Bronson Reed.
He got the big after he beat Shinsuke. And Shinsuke should probably be toiling in the mid card.
Yeah.
Oh man.
They have this big roster, and that they've split up and they've diluted talent. because they're trying to save, 2 or 3 big marquee matches for WrestleMania and coming up. It's just below average right now, and they're doing such a bad job building stars.
So let me ask you all this. We talked about these 2 cards. Okay, you had the AEW card last weekend. So you had another, 12 card pay-per-view this weekend. And WWE had 1 card with 6 matches. And they had better matches overall than the six matches WWE could put together.
Well, hold on. This is not All Out is a big time pay-per-view for AEW. Like, that's one of their main staples is All Out. So yes, that's a big deal. That's like a SummerSlam or a Survivor Series or Rumble for WWE, not a Payback pay-per-view in Pittsburgh. Like, I get what you're saying, and
they had 2 pay-per-views. Had some, of course, some of the people were in both, but they still had some people that weren't in each one. They kind of spread. I just feel like it just shows the depth of talent in the ring that AEW has versus what WWE has to offer.
I agree with that, but that's still not an excuse to put 10 or 12 matches on a single card. Like, I still think you could still have banger matches with 6 or 7 matches that you could extend their time a little bit instead of loading up the card with 10 or 12 matches just to get everybody on the pay-per-view. Like, pay-per-view should be special. It shouldn't just be everybody gets on the pay-per-view. Like, they should be special to get onto the pay-per-view. That should be a goal. So I think less matches. I still think less matches is better.
Well, and part of it with AEW too is they pull from New Japan and Ring of Honor. Like,
yeah,
I mean, and so so it adds to it there too.
And they can have anybody come in. Like, Impact wrestlers can come in. Like you said, New Japan. Anybody can come in for a night. WWE doesn't play nice with anybody, so they got just their roster.
That seems like a problem that WWE needs to fix.
And Triple H would fix that if he could be in charge, but there's a guy upstairs that won't leave.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like, could you imagine some of these crossover matches with some of these, with WWE crossing over and I mean, that would be awesome. It would sell tickets. It would sell pay-per-view buys. It would be huge, but egos get in the way.
KO and Sammy versus the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, WWE is doing killer business, and they sold out a legitimate stadium with Raquel and Rhea, and the crap they put on out there. They don't have any incentive to change because everybody's watching it. We're talking about it
because we keep watching them. Is that it?
Yeah. Well, you're right, but it's a catch-22. I want to watch the wrestling, but so that's why we have a show like this, so we can complain about it.
Maybe they're listening, Kyle. Maybe you're right.
Hi, WWE.
All right. Anything else on that card? We ready to roll on to the All Out card?
Let's move to the 5-hour card.
Okay. All right. First match on the 0 hour show. Hangman Adam Page wins the Royal Rumble, eliminating Brian Cage. Raise your hand if you thought there were any doubts of Hangman Adam Page losing this match.
I didn't even know Hangman was in the match because I didn't watch 0 hour.
I didn't either until he showed up, and I was like, "Oh, he's winning." He came in last.
Kyle didn't see him show up, is what he's saying.
I saw nothing on 0 hour.
I wasn't watching. I knew exactly when they did the little Mogul Embassy promo before. I was like, okay, someone from there is going to be at the end with Hangman Page. I just didn't know who's.
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, it's another way to get more guys on the card, so everybody gets to be on the show, kind of like was what Kyle was talking about. But they did throw a $50,000 reward. Of course, it was to charity, so I'm sure they already had a pre-picked charity out. And look at there, it went to Chicago to try to buy some goodwill since they just fired their favorite son the day before. So that was interesting. I thought that was kind of sly from AEW. That was why they did that.
Well, I did hear on the podcast I was listening to that after Hangman won the Battle Royal that he was getting booed, obviously, in Chicago. And then after they announced the donation, though, he got cheered because you can't boo education. So they had to cheer Hangman.
Yeah. The next match on the 0 hour was Sheeta, Willow Nightingale, and Sky Blue. They defeated Athena, Mercedes Martinez, and Diamante. It was a fine match. I mean, when I saw who was in the match, I thought, well, Sky Blue's in the match. She's from Chicago. They're gonna let her get the pop and get the win, and that's what happened. Brandon, you picked the team with Athena. What do you think about the match?
Oh, I really, if I would have known, I would have almost changed my pick. If I would have known Sky Blue was from Chicago, I would have picked them, and she got the win. I didn't know she was from Chicago, so.
You know, Brett, you ignored me on the battle royal. It didn't even let me say a word about it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Maybe it's a good thing because
did you want to crap on the
crap all over it?
Okay,
but just like we've had every stadium stampede match, every 10-man, 12-man match. I'm tired of battle royals from AEW. Let's do something different. I mean, they have like a battle royal every 3 weeks. It feels like.
Amen.
So I'm tired of battle royals.
Well, I think but there wasn't much at stake. I like the ones that have something more at stake, like the blackjack battle royal they have with a wild card where someone new comes out. Usually, those to me are different a little bit.
They always win, so that's not even
not necessarily always, but at least they had
Orange Cassidy won a 21-man one of these things. Come on. I mean, the booking on these are way too predictable.
We all picked against him, by the way, on that one. So they were obviously wasn't that predictable. We picked the field, and we were all wrong.
We're going with the math on that one.
Yeah,
but we avenged ourselves by the end of this show when it comes to that. But I like Athena. I hope she's. I don't get a chance to. I'm wrestling fatigued out, so I hope she's just killing it over at Ring of Honor. But that Willow match, I watched the pay-per-views, and the Willow Athena match a couple of months ago was fantastic, and I love her character. So hope she's doing well over there. But it's past my watching point, just like NXT.
And then we had the Acclaimed with Billy Gunn and Dennis Rodman in their corner, with Kyle's favorite Double J, JEFF, JERR, and then we send him out. ETT, Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Man, I guess Kyle just didn't want to talk about this match. But yeah, they got Dennis Rodman out there. Of course, gave him a cheap Chicago pop. When I saw he was in the match too, I was like, I pretty much knew that the Acclaim was going to win anyway, which they weren't going to lose the titles that fast. Plus, Dennis Rodman's in the match. It was enjoyable, but I mean, it was a pre-show, so entertaining at best.
I wasn't entertained, and I'm kind of getting tired of the Acclaimed. I think they need to do something a little bit new and different. I liked them when they were the heel, edgy, trying to get in there, but now that they're pandering to the crowd, it's very predictable. It's a shtick, and I think the shtick has become a little bit tiresome for me.
Yeah, I did. The only thing I liked was Max Caster's comment about carrying Jarrett and the Worm, and. But I wish, and then we got the Dennis Rodman guitar shot. That was, it's been a while since we've seen him wrestle. Almost 27, 25, whatever years.
Yeah,
it's been a while since the WCW days. So yeah. All right. The Sanjay and the Isaiah Thomas jersey in Chicago was awesome though.
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, that was cheap heat there. Okay, so let's move on to the main card now. We got Kyle's back for the main card.
Welcome back, Kyle.
Well, this is the stuff I watched.
Okay, all right. So we got Better Than You, Baby defeated the Dark Order. The Dark Order needs something. It's kind of a stale, like they've lost all their guys. I think they're down to about 3 guys now. I'm ready for the Dark Order either to be no more, or they need something to interject. They had some good stuff when they had Hangman Page in there, but honestly, I saw this match. I'm like, okay, we know they're not Better Than You, Baby is not losing this one. I mean, to Dark Order. When have they even been in a meaningful match in the past 2 or 3 months? I don't remember one. So, I mean, it was fine. They got the double clothesline. They got the win. It kind of continued on the storyline, but I mean, the match was just okay to me. I mean, I mean, I liked it was MJF and Adam Cole, but that was about it for me.
They were in a meaningful match on the ROH pay-per-view. They had like a 6-man death match, and they actually had one of their best matches in a long time.
Oh, I thought you didn't watch
ROH.
ROH.
Had to watch Death Before Dishonor.
I thought you didn't watch ROH.
Pay-per-view. I watch NXT pay-per-views and ROH pay-per-views, and I use the 0 hour for both to catch me up on everything, and then go back to radio silence.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm with you, Brett. I thought maybe, and I'm glad that Brandon made this point earlier, because I thought when I first started watching All Out, the first like 4 or 5 matches, I was just sitting there like, why did I waste my money on this? Like, I am not. They were good matches. Now that I like go back and kind of rewatch some highlights of them, they were good matches. I was so burnt out going in Sunday, and I didn't buy the pay-per-view till about 6:30. Like I was going back and forth. Like, do I even want to spend the money for it? So I thought that maybe it was just me being burnt out, but I'm glad you said that you thought the match was just okay too, because that's what I thought. I thought we could have done without this on this pay-per-view. I think this is more of a TV match. Like it could have been on a Dynamite or Collision.
I think they just wanted to get them 2 on the card.
I get it, but I mean, like Matt said, if it's that predictable, then what are we doing? Like, why put that predictable of a match on the card just to get them on the card? Now, I also understand we kind of got dropped with this CM Punk bomb, right before the show. So now it kind of worked out that at least you had 2 of those stars on the show. It is what it is. There was no way better than you Bebe was losing.
We kind of thought last week that it was going to be them against the Kingdom, and I thought that eventually that's going to happen. You think, but I guess they didn't want to rush it. But that's where I thought they were going with And then when they did the Battle Royal and then Dark Order, I didn't know why, but it was just basically it was just a showcase for Better Than You, Bebe, and they won with Matt's favorite move, the double clothesline.
Double clothesline. Adam took the double clothesline, and he got to kick out.
I was about to say Cole took it and didn't stay down.
Yeah, I love MJF's whole sportsmanship chant, and then the poke in the eyes. He's done that like 2 or 3 times in a row now, and I like that. And then probably the coolest thing was, he's leaving. He's banged up because he left and came back. He did the whole MJF hero thing. But he's walking up the ramp, and Samoa Joe comes out and gives him a little shove like he did in NXT several years ago.
Same.
When MJF was a security guard. And,
I saw some videos on Twitter where they had the videos simultaneously.
Yeah,
the exact same push and everything. Yeah.
And also by doing that, I thought, because Kyle and I both picked Shane Taylor anyway, and then I was like, oh, Joe's going to lose because we're going to get Joe MJF.
Yep.
But
that obviously didn't happen.
Yeah. We'll get to that match. That was terrible.
That's because I didn't pick it. Yeah, it's okay.
AEW has so much talent. They can not do Dark Order versus. I mean, we could have gotten a really good match there that we can even know that Better Than You Baby is going to win. That would be memorable and would have let them wrestle on it. I was thinking about when you think of WrestleMania 1, you think of the big matches of Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant and all that. And then you have matches on there like the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov versus the U.S. Express. And you just sit to yourself like, you're really going to put this stuff out there for your biggest cards of the year? And, Kyle, you mentioned that this should be one of their biggest cards of the year. And they have talent. They had people sitting on the sideline that I would have much rather. The Kingdom. And you could have turned that match into the storyline, for even if you have Better Than You Baby win the match, it could be done in such a way where, Roderick Strong trips the wrong person or something because his neck has a spasm. I mean, you can write the story to where that storyline can continue from that match. So I'm really disappointed that they wasted an opportunity to highlight 2 really good wrestlers and just to have a throwaway match to open the show.
All right. Next up was the Samoa Joe Shane Taylor match. Any thoughts on that? I mean, I thought the match was hard hitting. I really enjoyed the match. Honestly, it was a little slower because you have two bigger guys in the ring, but they were killing each other. I hadn't seen Shane Taylor in a while. I'd honestly like to see him and Keith Lee again. I enjoyed when they were a tag team back in ROH, because they're not doing anything with Lee right now. But man, I mean, it wasn't like 5-star match, but I thought it was a solid, hard hitting match.
Let me ask you, Brett, because you are our guru of all this. Do you have a time on that match? Like
yes.
How long it lasted?
The time on that match was 6 minutes and 25 seconds, Matt.
That's perfect. I mean, they just go and hit each other, and it's done. That's what should have been what Raquel and
I think that's why I didn't get tired of it. Why I was fine with it, just because it didn't drag out too long. Samoa Joe comes out looking real strong, and then he bumps into MJF, which who knows, that may lead into another feud there for MJF because he needs one right now. He doesn't have currently one going. So I sign me up for that one. I want to see MJF and Samoa Joe. Love to see that one.
And I know MJF's got he's like, there's about to be some tournament to see who faces him. I think either at Grand Slam or at that thing in October. But also, we had 2 matches like this though on the card, and the other one was better. I mean, it's basically the same thing as you have with Hobbs and Miro. I mean, it's like a kind of mirror match, two big guys just chopping the crap out of each other. And so you'd rather see Miro and Hobbs do it than Joe and Shane Taylor. I was looking forward to the Joe Shane Taylor match actually, and it kind of disappointed. But I was glad it was only 6 minutes.
Well, Joe and Shane Taylor are both fat. They're just fat people fighting each other, whereas Miro and Hobbs were meat.
Jack's fat.
That's why you got the meat.
Yeah.
And that's why the match was a little longer in the the Hobbs and Miro match. They can go a little longer.
The match was what it was. Not impressed by this match. I thought the reason I thought Shane Taylor would win is because I thought we need to get Samoa Joe back on Dynamite and Collision and off ROH. Nobody cares about ROH. We need to get Samoa Joe off of that. So that's why I was pushing for Shane Taylor to win. Samoa Joe won. Great. Now what does he do with it? Do we get some other random opponent at the next pay-per-view? Like, what are we doing with Joe now? Because his feud with Punk is obviously over. So what are we doing with Samoa Joe? That's my only question.
MJF?
Well, he doesn't need to be ROH champion then. If he's going to go after that title, he doesn't need to be holding the ROH title and an AEW title.
Title unification match.
For a ROH and AEW title?
I don't know. Maybe.
The
undisputed title. Now he's going to come and hold 2 titles so he can be like Roman Reigns, I don't know.
So we had an international title main event this card, and the AEW champion opened it, and the second match is an ROH TV title guy who's now fighting for the AEW championship while he's ROH tag team championship. So maybe we'll have some sort of weird X Division 6 titles on the big X, and you go pick out your belt kind of a match.
Hey, book it. It'd make more sense than some of the stuff they do sometimes. So, all right, Luchasaurus with Christian Cage defeated Darby.
Father of the Year, Christian Cage. Put some respect on his name, Brett.
That is getting over, by the way. I mean, we talked about that last week. It is getting over.
I'm so glad that it was Luchasaurus actually wrestling. Of course, Christian Cage wouldn't wrestle because that would require effort on his part. So, but this was, of course, you're in this kind of match with Darby Allin. You got some crazy spots. You had Nick Wayne involved, Christian Cage involved. I was surprised there wasn't a Sting spotting, but they left him out. Maybe Nick Wayne is going to kind of slowly replace Sting as Darby Allin's little compadre. He's going to now be the protege instead of having Sting be his protege. So I don't know.
Sting may still be recovering from Wembley.
Well, it's true. He may be laid up in bed for a little bit. But I thought this match was fine. I mean, it to me, Luchasaurus is actually really good in the ring. He does some good stuff, and of course, Darby is always entertaining. So I knew that Luchasaurus was going to win. I didn't think they were done with this story yet, as far as with him and Christian and the whole thing. And it doesn't make any sense if Christian's not carrying his belt around. So I was pleasantly pleased with the match. I mean, the match was 12 minutes 20 seconds. It was a fun match.
Can I challenge you, Brett? Because we've been talking about this. You're on the road. You're on the record on Off the Ropes that you don't like this angle. Is it growing on you yet? Are you getting there yet?
I didn't say it I just don't like Christian Cage in the whole. I just don't think it's believable to me. I don't know.
Christian Cage. If you,
I love Nigel.
I'm waiting for Edge to come out and spear Christian Cage into some where he can actually think and do things normally.
Christian was asked in the media scrum about Edge or Adam Copeland coming to AEW, and Christian said, "I don't have any other friends other than Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus is my only friend." So shout out to Christian for staying in character.
Christian is the best. Like, I mean,
he's good. He is super good.
I know Brett doesn't like it, but this is the most I've been invested in Luchasaurus in his whole time in AEW. Like, I mean,
I don't know.
Other than Marco, I love Marco, but I was never a Jungle Boy.
I'm fine with his character. I just don't think this part is believable for anyone just to let.
It is. I think it is for this side of the screen.
He's a dinosaur. I mean, he's the right hand of destruction. He needs his leadership to.
You don't want to carry around no belt. He's got pythons to carry around on his arms. He don't need a belt to hang on to as well.
Oh man, that would just be like saying, "Hey, Professor, would you carry around my championship belt? You didn't really win, but here, you just carried that around for me so you can."
Well, technically, I am the reigning and defending Pick'em champion on the right side of the state over here.
On the right side of the state.
Currently number one right now as well. So
I saw that. But
it's 2 weeks.
2 weeks in, and I don't believe
2 weeks in 2 years. I have not trailed in like.
Oh okay.
Well, I don't think
a little dynasty.
So let's ask him, where are you sitting in ours? Because I do believe you're not in front of me.
I went 9-1 this week as well, so I still got to catch up from last week.
Yeah. Okay.
Shots fired.
So we'll see.
I got to fire.
Well, Brandon, you dropped off this past week. I saw Brett finally passed you after your good run there, but I like that match, the Luchasaurus match. I think it was a very good match. Anytime Darby's on there, I'm invested to see what he's going to go through. That stair step, oh man, ooh, cringe-worthy, but in that kind of wrestling sort of way. And like y'all have said, Luchasaurus is a really sneaky good wrestler. I mean, the stuff he did, even with Jurassic Express, he was doing really good. It's like, why is this guy not a star? And then this is before I even knew he was the guy from Big Brother. I just put a mask on him and now put Christian with him. Put a rocket ship on this angle. I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, the match was good. It was what you expected out of a Luchasaurus and Darby Allin match. Darby doing crazy spots. Luchasaurus just destroying Darby at every turn. Darby getting a little bit of offense. Kind of what you expected out of the match. Darby needs a break. To give Darby some time off. Him and Orange Cassidy both need to go on a vacation somewhere because they deserve about a month and a half off. They have busted their tails in these past few months. So kudos to Darby. If he keeps going at this rate, he won't be wrestling very much longer. I mean, he is. I love watching it, but it terrifies me watching. I feel like he is going to break his neck every single time he's out there, and he doesn't, to his credit. But good match overall. I enjoyed the match, and I like the outcome. I don't think Darby needs to be TNT champion. I think Luchasaurus still needs to be the TNT champion.
Christian needs to be the TNT champion. And Father of the Year.
Next match, Miro over Powerhouse. Powerhouse. I didn't understand. I think we talked about this in the preview show. What the booking angle was here. Like they both needed to be, I guess, raised up. Like I don't think either one of these guys needed to be losing at this point. But we kind of figured Miro was going to take it. I believe we all picked Miro. Yep, we did. We all had Miro here. The most interesting part of this match, honestly, for me, it was Lana showing up.
Hot and flexible was what the screen said. So.
Well, either way,
I don't know what she's going by in AEW, but hot and flexible is what popped up on the screen.
I was like, "What? Who is?"
I think Nigel mentioned that too.
I was like, and she showed up, and then he just blew her off, and so that leaves me questions on, I guess he doesn't want anything to do with his own wife.
He said that in his promo. He has nothing to do with his God, nothing to do with his wife, nothing to do with any. He is on his own.
And
so is his wife gonna buy interest in someone else?
Bobby Lashley.
Oh, wow.
Maybe Powerhouse.
Powerhouse.
So I wrote decent match. I thought it was a decent match. This was probably the best match up until this point, maybe. Because like I said, the card started slow, and so this was a decent match. But I thought the best things happened after. They had the respect thing with Miro and Hobbs, and then Hobbs, after the second kind of handshake, once Miro went away, he attacked him. And then, obviously then CJ Perry, Lana, whatever you want to call her, she came out and tried to attack Powerhouse. And it was interesting, too, that she came out during a Florida State game because, she became famous at a Florida State game a long time ago. And 2 of the 3 Cowgirls now have been on AEW because Jen Sturger, the one right by her in the picture, was a backstage reporter a backstage person at AEW for a little bit. So now they need to find the 3rd girl and get her on AEW.
I had no notes on this match because at this point I just wanted the pay-per-view to be over. But but in all seriousness, it was a very good match. I think it was both of their best matches in a while. I think they did. It was big meaty men slapping meat is what this was. I mean, it was loved the chants from the AEW crowd. Meat forever, like it was just great. Like they had some great chants. It was an odd booking decision because neither one of them needed to take a loss, but I still think Powerhouse looked good in this loss. I think he didn't get squashed or anything by Miro. I think it was very believable that Powerhouse could have beat Miro. And I think the attack at the end of the match sets up that we're going to get another one of these matches probably at what's the new one, WrestleCast or whatever.
Wrestle Dream,
whatever it is. Another pay-per-view. But I think we'll get this match again. So I look forward to seeing it again, and maybe Powerhouse gets his win then, and then we set up a third match with that could blow off this feud. That maybe it's like a no DQ or something. I don't know.
I actually did not like this match. I liked the crowd. The crowd made it good for me because the crowd completely elevated that. But I mean, they were botching clotheslines. The ending was botched. The whole believability that we're supposed to expect that Lana could make the save with the choking or like
hot and flexible, Matt. Hot and flexible.
H&F right there. There was a lot of, again, when you are supposed to be a professional wrestling show that is creating high level, you got to get the details right. There are a lot of details. It's like they didn't even practice this match. They just kind of went out there and called it. And that's where you look at Gunther and Sheamus and Drew, who basically had this version of the match. That was way better. And I was hoping this match would kind of approximate that with their storylines and their characters. And it was just sloppy and rushed.
We're talking about practice, not a match, but practice.
Practice.
Powerhouse.
Yeah. So I honestly didn't really get any of the storyline coming in this match. Was there any? No. 2 guys big guys that want to
not really
fight. So that's why I was kind of like I wasn't super excited for it, and that's why the ending was the best part because that kind of gave a story for me to follow now.
And there's another little tidbit that Tony Khan said in this media scrum that I want to get y'all's opinion on. He basically said that everybody complaining about no build before the match, before the pay-per-view, but then they put on another banger pay-per-view. So he's basically saying the build doesn't matter. He just wants to book good matches, which is fine. But then why are we watching weekly television? Why would I watch weekly television if you're just going to put on matches at the pay-per-view with no build? So I don't like that that's where Tony Khan's going because I think that AEW has been built around storyline. Like long-term booking is AEW's That's their path, and I don't want to see them get away from that. And I think because and Anthony Bowens came out and basically said the same thing on Twitter, that all these people complaining about no build, but we put on another good pay-per-view. That's not the point. If you put on a good pay-per-view without a build, imagine what it could be like with a build. So anyway, that's something else Tony Khan said in the media scrum that kind of caught my ear.
It's also hard to build when it's a one week thing. So
it's very true. Very true.
And I'd like to take that point and probably raise it an idea that they announced the Chicago card before they announced the London card.
Yep.
So this was getting, people were thinking we're going to get our tickets and this is our quarterly, pay-per-view. And so I don't even think they knew what they were getting into. And I wouldn't even call this a banger card. I mean, maybe y'all will be more impressed with some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about, but
it definitely started slow.
I would have felt bad if I would have spent $50 for this.
Thanks,
Kyle. We still need to talk, Kyle.
After this weekend, for sure, for sure.
So
I'm not doing that again.
So I kind of agree with y'all. I think this next match was the last match where I was this was okay. The Chris Statlander defeats Ruby Soho. It did have some storytelling in it, with I guess the end for sure of the Outcast as we knew them, as the interference from Tony Storm taking away the spray can and allowing Statlander to get the win. That was the best part. To me, the match was fine. I think they put on a fine match. But now I'm intrigued on that storyline going forward. With the Outcast, I don't know where Statlander goes from here, but I'm intrigued by the storyline of the Outcast. I think this was kind of the last match. The rest of the card after this, I thought was incredible. I think this is kind of where it trended up for me. I think maybe Brandon agrees with me. We talked about the trending up, but I think this is where the card trended up. As far as the match goes, though, I think it was a fine women's match. It wasn't anything impressive or outstanding. It was just a good match, and with some good storytelling during the intermingled in it, and then after the match for me.
Go ahead.
Oh, it sounds like we're all on the same page here.
Yeah, I mean, it was what it was. I think the storyline in this match was Statlander had never beaten Ruby Soho before, and so Stat finally got her win over Soho to retain the title. It's a basic storyline, but at least there's something there. One thing I hate in this, it wasn't just this match, it's any match that has this. When they make these baby faces look like complete buffoons, like they are the dumbest people in the arena. So what if Saraya gets on the apron? Hit your move. Who cares? Why are you perched up on the ring, on the turnbuckle, and then Saraya gets up and you have to look over at her and start mouthing to her? Who cares? Hit your move. Who cares what she does? She interferes with the match, you win. Leave it alone. But it makes the baby faces look like complete idiots. Like they just look over, they're like, oh, what are you? It's the same thing when someone stands up on the apron, then gets down, they like lean over the rope and they're like talking, then they get rolled up. Like stop. That's dumb. Anyway, that's all I got. Match was what it was. You're right. It picked up after this. Matt?
I agreed.
Okay. The professor is speechless.
Love that.
I only got 20 minutes left, and y'all got about an hour of content left. So I'm just
It was not for the final three matches to
keep it short here with Agree.
Okay. All right. So here we go. Okay. So the matches left, I loved all of them, but I wish this next match was my main event. Bryan Danielson coming out to Final Countdown. Man, I was pumped. If this was their plan B, I love their plan B in this match. The strap match is different. They were killing each other with a strap. I mean, my gosh, I'm sure they're going to be black and blue for a while. Did a great job of, and I heard some things after the match of Danielson never did a blow with his injured arm. He never like swung it or had to use. So like they were able to use the strap match to protect his arm still and to get him out there. And the crowd was hot for it. I mean, this was like, it went from like 0 to 10 as soon as his music hit. This was probably, I mean, there was some other good matches, but this was probably top 1 or 2 of the night for me right here. And I love to see where they're going to go with Danielson now. You know, kind of he comes out and almost plays a face character, but his group is a heel faction. So, and I also read where they wanted him to toe the line, kind of, you know, whatever needs to be done to win type deal. So we'll see where they go. I'm excited to have him back though, guys.
Yeah, especially with the loss of CM Punk now. Danielson, from what I've read, Collision is Danielson's show now. Like, that's his show. I thought this match was great. It was brutal. It was vicious. It was nasty. It was uncomfortable at times. When Danielson and Starks were trading licks with that strap, they were hitting in the neck, it looked like. And I think when Starks was in like the trio O position, he was getting hit in the face. Like, it was just brutal. I think Danielson put Starks over though. Even though he beat Starks never tapped. Starks passed out. It was forced to pass out. I like the way they ended that. Danielson coming out to Final Countdown was awesome. Very good match. I would say it's not my match of the night, but if, like you said, Brett, if it's your match of the night, I'm not going to disagree with you. I can't argue that point. It's not my match of the night, but I could see why it would be considered someone's match of the night for sure. It was very good.
Well, I think there's 2 matches for me, and it was one of the top 2.
Yeah.
And I get that. I thought it was a great match, but it was probably my 4th because I love the final 3 so much. And but this is where like you said, Brett, the card turned, and this is where I started getting excited. And I don't know if I tweeted this or not, but I did write it down. I think this was the best modern day strap match. You know, because there's some great strap matches in the 60s, 70s, 80s that we've seen clips of and stuff. But in the past, 20-something years, every strap match we get is gimmicky and awful. Especially anytime Cena's in a strap match, it's just terrible.
Well, I was gonna say, especially anytime WWE does a strap
match.
Yeah,
no, especially if it's you got to touch all 4 corners. And this was the modern day strap matches. This was the best one I can, off the top of my head, can think of. And I thought it was great. And what a great first match for Danielson coming back. I mean, dude, because he came back quicker than I expected. From whatever. I guess it was the Forbidden War. Yeah, and so he came back sooner than expected and put on a banger, and I thought that was good, and it was really good for Ricky Starks too. This, I thought, Ricky Starks has been on the rise, but I thought this elevated him even more.
Cognitive dissonance is when you have 2 competing thoughts in your brain fighting for which one is going to come out. Because everything you said, all 3 of you said, in highlighting it, it was a great match. It really was. It was brutal. It had storytelling in it. Like Ricky Stark's facial expression before he passed out, it was like one of the best facial expressions you'll see. Like, it was memorable. And the way he was, fighting to the end and his character development and all of that. All this is on one side, and I love it all. But on the other side, and I get why, but this thing had no build-up. So we basically had this violent, brutal blow up off of a feud match that was just a random match. It would be like if we had, El Viking Del Hijo versus Commander in a ladder match on something with just a chip. We're just going to have a ladder match. We're going to have this match, and whoever gets the chip wins, and it means nothing because it has no build. It has no story to it. And so I have both of these thoughts here at the same time. Amazing match and all this stuff, but like the brutality of it didn't match anything. It's like these 2 people are just wrestling each other for no reason with this brutality. Why?
Well, they can't have a build if this wasn't the plan. Like, they had to call an audible 3 days before the show. So it's kind of hard to.
So I thought they kind of did it like with the whole Ricky the Dragon Steamboat was going to fight this, and he got somebody, tricked him into getting somebody to fight in his place type deal. I thought that was a kind of a neat way to slide him in.
Yeah, but I think anytime you could call Danielson off the bench to come in and pinch hit for you, and he delivers a grand slam like this, you're doing all right if you're Tony Khan.
You take it and move on.
I mean, fantastic match. I mean, I'm just sitting there like y'all just going like, wow, like I would have loved to be in the audience for that. It's like a completely unexpected, amazing match. But at the same time, you do have a lot of psychological story gaps, over there, and it kind of ruined it for me. Could you imagine if that was Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega 3 and they had that kind of match?
Oh,
I mean, then you're like, oh my gosh, and that's where you have the storyline, and then you take the match and you meld them, and that's where you get greatness. So that's why that part was missing for me. But it had to be. I mean, you couldn't do anything about that.
All right, we got BCC over Eddie Kingston and Shibata. This match was good. I mean, I think anytime you got the BCC in there, it's going to be a brutal, hard-hitting match. I like them. I like Eddie Kingston. He's just, I just like his character. He's like, I don't care. I'm just going to beat you up, and that's what I'm going to do. Comparison to some of these other matches, I think it was just fine, but I thought it was a really good match overall for me. I mean, I think these last 5 matches could have been the only matches on the card, and I'd have been okay with that. I think I'd take those 5. What's that?
That's exactly the same point that I was making earlier. That's if WWE would have put on a show, like if AEW would have done the 5 to 6 match card like WWE did with those matches, been an absolute banger. But they had to add all this fluff beforehand just to get everybody on the show.
Yeah, you're right. But honestly, comparison of the 2 events, if you take the 6 matches WWE have, I'd just take these last 5.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
That's kind of was my point, because even if they have the other matches, it still is a better card because of these 5 carried it so much.
And I'm probably going to be the only one that says this out of this match. I didn't care for this match. I don't care about what's going on with all 4 of these guys. I care about what's happening with Eddie and Claudio. Like, I want to see them go one-on-one.
I think it's coming.
I think it'll happen at Grand Slam, and I think Eddie takes the title at Grand Slam in New York. But I didn't really care for this match, so I have no notes on it. I picked the right people to win, though. So there's that.
I missed this one. One thing I agree with you on the big picture, Kyle, and I don't know if you saw this on Saturday, but one really neat storyline element on this is on, I think it was Collision, where you basically had Claudio just beating up Wheeler Yuta as part of, a promo, like, we do this all the time. And then there was that spot in the match where he was stuck in a leg hold or whatever, and Wheeler and Claudio was trying to get him out of it, and he's just in pain there, and they're fighting there, and then all of a sudden he falls down, and now he's in more pain because he's got this. That was beautiful, and how that related to the storyline. But like you, Kyle, I mean, how many iterations of this are we going to get? I mean, it's hard. It's hard for you to realize this because you don't watch ROH. But Claudio Eddie have fought like 2 or 3 times already, and now you've got like this is the 3rd or 4th time that Claudio has pinned Eddie. So what new are we getting with this?
Yeah, see, I didn't know that. Okay, well, even more reason for me not to care about this match at all.
I didn't either.
I did like I liked Eddie's shirt that he came out in, the Claudio sucks eggs, and then I didn't put much on this match, but I did notice I was starting to think there was 10 titles on this card, 6 being defended, and 4 the 4 main titles weren't defended, and only one of the main titles, the people that hold it, were on the card, FTR. But the top 4 titles weren't defended on the card. There were 6 titles defended, 10 on the card, and 3 in this match. 3 different titles in this match. And that is like, that's where we know AEW's got way too many. Well, I mean, some of them are Ring of Honor, Center in Japan, but too many belts going around when you have 10 on one card and 4 aren't, your top 4 aren't being defended.
Yeah.
And who knows what IWGP titles that could have been even more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
T. Marshall with the AAA championship or whatever he won recently.
Well, the next match here, we've got Takeshita over Kenny Omega. This was my only miss of all the pay-per-view matches. And I guess they want to further this storyline with Don Callis. Kyle, you got this one. You're the only one that had Takeshita.
Give me my flowers.
I give your props there. You did get this one. So what were your thoughts on the match?
Match of the night for me. I thought it was fantastic. I knew going into it that these two would put on a show. The Omega took some nasty bumps. I mean, he landed on top of his head one time on a German suplex, and it was just nasty. Takeshita's strikes, they sound absolutely brutal. I think he slaps his leg at the perfect time, and the reaction of Omega, or it just sounds vicious. An avalanche blue thunder bomb from Takeshita. Didn't even know that was possible. I don't even think you could do that on a video game, but Takeshita's out here doing it in real life and making it look beautiful. And then we have a kick out. Nobody's kicking out from an avalanche blue thunder bomb. Nobody's kicking out from that. All these false finishes. It was a banger. It would have been a 5-star match for me without all the false finishes.
Oh, you sound like somebody else I know.
It would have been a 5-star, but the false finishes and Takeshita's music sucks. Don Callis is just one note, sucks. Absolutely terrible.
He's got to get some new.
Got to get rid of it.
Tony Khan buying all this music for everybody. He can't find
get rid of it
for him.
Got to get rid of it. But Takeshita, I thought it. The false finish I did appreciate at the end when Takeshita hit Omega with that knee strike. And Omega kicked out. Then Takeshita pulled the pad down and hit him with just bare knee and then pinned him. Okay, that makes sense. The one with the pad didn't get him. The one without the pad got him. Great. I'm cool with that. I don't need 20 other false finishes. And I don't need somebody kicking out of an avalanche blue thunderbomb. Like that's something that I've never seen before. And Omega kicks out of it like it's nothing. I don't know. I thought it was match of the night, though. Absolutely loved it. I could have watched them. I know they wrestled for probably 20 minutes or so. I could have seen them wrestle for another 10, 15 minutes and been completely okay.
That match was
by that double clothesline.
That match was actually 30 minutes, 30 seconds.
Wow. It did not seem like it.
I could have watched them wrestle all night.
I loved it. Like it was great. I know Matt's going to crap on it here in a little bit. But the good thing is they never used the screwdriver. They just brought it out twice. They never used the screwdriver.
Right.
Takesha's got the crappy entrance, and then Kenny's got the best entrance ever. And I like how they threw the MJ nod in there on the North Carolina. I like when Justin Roberts does the whole North Carolina thing for Kenny. I hate when Kenny comes out with the Young Bucks because it takes away he's got one of the best entrances in all of wrestling history, and it was a great. There was the suplex Takesha did and Kenny landed on his head. That was just nasty.
Yeah,
and that was like
straight. Yeah. He landed like straight on top of his head on that.
And that was early in the match. I mean, that was like 2-3 minutes in. So the fact that they were able to go another 27 after that, or however many, that was impressive. And and the Avalanche Blue Thunderbomb came right after. I thought Kenny was going to do the one-winged angel from the top, which would have been epic. But I mean, this match was it was incredible. Yeah, that false finishes, whatever, and Don Callis, but it was just I enjoyed every minute of it. I wouldn't have even guessed it was 30 minutes because I wasn't ready for it to end. So I was this was definitely the match of the night for me, and all these final 3 matches were great. But I texted y'all right after this, not the one with the Android guy in it, but the other group chat. The other group chat, I immediately texted y'all the Varsity Blues 10. Because I thought this was a 10 of a 10 match. So.
All right, man.
But not a 5-star.
Tell us why we're wrong.
Well, I'm just going to be completely honest with you because I hit wrestling fatigue, and I started fast forwarding a lot, so I had to get here. And I figured I would stop if I started hearing this is awesome. I'd hit 30 seconds and watch 10 seconds. So I wasn't expecting that, but based on what you said, I'm going to go back and rewatch it.
I was about to say, you need to go back and rewatch it. For sure.
Watch it.
Yes, absolutely.
But fast forwarding it every 30 seconds, it seemed kind of boring.
Well,
no, absolutely not.
Yeah, you need to watch this one again, Matt. We'll let you tell us about it next time after you actually watch the whole match.
You wasted all your time on Raquel and Rhea and Austin Theory and Rey Mysterio.
Those got fast forwarded too, but I did watch the hockey match, and it's the street fight.
Well, that was incredible.
All right, so Bullet Club Gold defeats
bang, bang, gang.
FTR and Nick Jackson and Matt Jackson, the Young Bucks. Another great match. I mean, all these guys can work. I'm just glad they put Bullet Club Gold over. I think they needed something to continue to build on this momentum. The Guns, man, they were a laughing stock a few months ago when we talked about this is a natural fit, and so I'm looking for them to. Here's where I think it's going. Eventually, they're going to take the titles from the Acclaim, the 6-man, the trios. You've got the connection with his dad. I think that's where I think they're going. Maybe they won't, but they need something to go after right now. At this point, they're pretty hot.
I don't want to see them in the Acclaimed again. We got enough of that.
Well, but I think it has the time with the dad with Billy Gunn and the Guns, them taking.
We've done that.
Well, I mean,
a lot.
Not with Bullet Club Gold, them trying to go after the titles. Now they're elevated.
Him saying that as a storyline, I'm reinterested in that reopening of that line, especially this.
We'll see. We'll see how they do it.
Yeah, because they're not the old Guns that just were getting beat by everybody. You know, this is the new. They're Bullet Club Gold.
And Colton Gunn's the one who got the pin, so that was.
Yeah.
And this is how you know that the Guns are getting over, is that you don't even really hear them getting called ass boys repeatedly. No. That used to be the whole thing, that, you know, their whole bit, and now they're being respected for their work. I mean, this is one of the most incredible nothing to legit transformations I've seen in a long time.
I love the Guns. I love their presentation. I love their entrance. I love their in-ring. They're great.
They look like badasses when they come
out.
Yes, like,
they do. Absolutely.
I like the kind of the FTR Young Bucks back and forth. Like, they did each other's moves, and they kind of, you know, it was interesting. Kind of like there was still some I wouldn't say animosity, but they were always on the same page right away. They kind of looked at each other. So I don't know if they're going to do another match. I don't know. We'll see. But I thought they worked well together for, you know, the things that they did in this match. I enjoyed this match thoroughly. Of course, you had some other great matches on this card, so I mean, it wasn't, you know, top three for me. It was right up there, but I still enjoyed this match.
I'm gonna give a metaphor here because it just popped in my head. Could you imagine in 3 months if you really cared about the LWO at the level of like Judgment Day, Bloodline kind of stuff? That's what the Guns have done.
Yeah. I love the match. We knew it coming into it. The Bucks were going to get booed out of the building in Chicago. They did it first, and then there was more cheers. The crowd was fighting with vocally trying to see a chance of CM Punk. You heard throughout the arena in Chicago. That is the only place in America that will happen. The match was all over the place, but it was in a good way. Like, there was so much going on. It was fun to watch. I love the interchanging of partners. How FTR and Young Bucks hit a shatter machine together, and then Dax and either Matt or Nick, I don't know which one of them it was, but they hit the BTE trigger. And like you mentioned earlier, that FTR did a little homage to CM Punk to look down at the watch for its clobbering time right before he did the BTE trigger. Just little things like that added to the match to me. I thought it was great. I'd probably put it third behind the strap match on my favorites of the night. It was third or fourth, interchanging it with the main event. But it was a really good match. I really enjoyed it.
All right, main event. Jon Moxley defeats Orange Cassidy, and Orange Cassidy first loss in singles competition of the year. And like Kyle said, this guy needs a vacation. He's put in, like, he's elevated that title. He defends it every week, and it could be the International Hardcore Championship soon, with Moxley having that belt. Guys, this was an absolute great match. I mean, it could have been number one on a lot of matches, a lot of cards. I mean, this one and the Danielson and Takeshita Omega, those are my top three for the night. And there was arguments on each one of why they were the best match, but I like this match. I honestly thought it was interesting that Orange Cassidy was the one bloodied up. Did Jon Moxley ever bleed?
He did not. I felt like Brandon at the end of this match, when Brandon's calling who the guest opponents are going to be, and he's like nailing the finish and all that. Because last week I told you I thought Moxley would take the title off of him and not bleed and transition into basically being that new thing, and that's exactly what he did in this. And he actually felt like he was bad at the end having to basically almost like the Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair. I feel bad that I'm going to put you down, but I put you down.
Yeah. I thought it was a great main event. I think Orange Cassidy is fantastic at what he does. Moxley is Moxley. He's great too. They weren't going to have a bad match. I thought that the gash on the side of Orange Cassidy's head looked miserable. He was bleeding like a stuck pig, and then Moxley biting into the the cut, like basically a vampire sucking his blood. It was just it was gruesome, but that's a John Moxley match. Like that's what you get. I also picked Moxley to win. I just thought it was time to give Cassidy a break. I mean, he has destroyed his body defending that international championship week in and week out. So I think it's time for him to take a little break. I'm interested to see what they do with Moxley. Who challenges Moxley now for that international championship? Maybe does Miro maybe look at the international championship? Does Takeshita maybe try to go for the international championship? I think there's a lot of ways they can go. There's a lot of good opponents for Moxley. So I'm excited to see what they do with it, but excellent main event to cap off the show.
Yep. And that's, yep. Go ahead, Brandon.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead for it.
And I was just I should have texted Matt since he actually called kind of what was going to happen because you had like 9 picks of this match. You know, they didn't ask who the winner was going to be because I was going to pick Moxley. They asked the things like who's going to bleed. They asked these random questions, and I only got 4 out of the 9 right. I should have texted Matt, and I at least got a couple more right. But I thought it was a great match. There were some really cool spots in this match too, and just a lot of good countering. And there were times where Moxley dominated, but there were some fun counter moves in this too. Both getting their multiple finishers off, and there was false finishes, but it was well timed false finishes, and it was Orange Cassidy has just completely elevated since he started in because at first everybody thought, oh, this guy's a joke, because most people didn't know a lot about him. They knew the name and like, oh, this cool gimmick, but he's reached superstar level, and last night showed it. I mean, I could watch them face again. We don't need to right now, but that was a really great match and a great ending to this card. Like we said, the card finished really strong, and this was a great way to cap it off.
I also loved how Orange Cassidy showed the seriousness where he was doing those little soft kicks, and all of a sudden he just ramped it up to 100. Like he was like,
they started doing the Danielson kicks.
Yeah. I love that. Because that shows he cares. Like it's the whatever. He actually cares about that title. And I had mixed feelings at the end of it. I was like, man, I know Orange Cassidy needed to lose that title, but after that match, he kind of felt like he earned it. Like he earned to keep the title, but it made sense. So it was a good match though.
That beach break on the exposed floor was nasty too.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Well, I guess that's gonna do it, guys. That's been the last 3 weeks. We got a lot of wrestling down. We'll take a little break here, and they come back here at the beginning of October for the next show.
So I know AEW's got one on the 1st. When's the WWE one?
The 7th.
Fastlane is the 7th. So
yeah, or they got the little fake Cena one this Friday, but we don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, we're not gonna worry about that one. We'll come back.
The India one.
Yeah. We'll talk. We can talk about it after the fact for the other one if we want to. But that's going to do it for this episode of Off the Ropes, episode 17, AEW All Out and Payback review show. For the professor who has gone away from us already. Oh, there he is.
Oh,
Final countdown. I had to bring him back out. For KO Kyle Owens, Brandon Ogden, and Brett Swinney. We'll catch you next time on Off the Ropes. Thanks for watching. Good night, everybody.
Have a good night, guys.
No one to blame. We're leaving ground. Will things ever be the same again? It's the final.